I'm Nadia Ely, and welcome to today's discussion around grid resiliency and its impact on Dominion Energy's grid transformation plan. The GTP aims to safely, reliably, and affordably shore up and improve our existing infrastructure and systems to equip them for the grid of the future. This series explores the various grid resiliency initiatives that play a role in making up the greater GTP. Two of these initiatives are customer education and EAMS. Joining me to discuss the significance of these programs are Electric Distribution Program Manager Adam Flowers and Communications Consultant Heather Montville. Thank you for being with me. Heather, and I'd like to start with you today. Could you walk me through how Dominion Energy used customer education to introduce the grid transformation plan to our customers?
Hey, Nadia, thanks for having me. So to answer your question, firstly, during phase one of the grid transformation plan, the company developed concise, consistent, easy to understand content for multiple external communications channels, for our public website pages, social media, digital direct mail, presentations, community events, and things like that. And we're always working toward more. We relied and continue to rely on a variety of options to reach as many customers as possible, satisfying their unique communication needs so that we can engage with as many customers as possible and showcase all the facets of the GT plan. It's important for our customers to understand how the plan affects them and their electric reliability and improves their service. So before we began rolling out all the different programs within the plan, our education materials consisted of 4 key points. The first one being how we are working to avoid outages and shorten outage duration when outages do occur. Another one being our move toward cleaner sources of energy. Also electrifying the transportation sector. And then the last one being that we are offering more conservation programs. So the key was to first educate them about their energy consumption at their home or business, how to manage their costs, and then empower them to take advantage of all the different enhanced customer capabilities enabled by the grid transformation plan. And to take it a step further, the company is committed, as you know, to improving the customer experience. The overall kind of overarching approach to customer education has always included a plan to leverage feedback from customers and stakeholders, review those results from prior project experience and industry best practices, and then incorporate lessons learned so that we can improve education material and strategy over time. And one of the lessons we quickly learned is that customers are looking for more innovative ways to digest the information. So knowing this, we developed lots of new things, but mainly a brand new website with individual project updates that customers can visit and get the details that they're wanting, as well as this particular podcast series that focuses on each individual program and its benefits.
Wow, Heather, I did not realize how in-depth that customer education plan was. Thank you for hitting all the highlights there. Adam, can you explain what an enterprise asset management system is?
Sure. And first, let me start by saying thanks for having me on and giving me an opportunity to talk about EAMS and what it means for our company and the customers that we serve. So basically, EAMS, or as you mentioned it, an enterprise asset management system, is really a software or application solution that bolsters exactly what it says, the management of our assets. And when we talk about that term assets, what we're really talking about are our electric distribution assets. So the equipment that most people see when they're driving along roads, and those include poles, transformers, operating devices like reclosers and fuses. What EAMS really provides to us is data focused, and it's capturing all the information around our assets. So the static things like serial numbers, manufacturer information, size, the things that don't really change, in combination with dynamic data. So inspection results or the work that's been performed on that equipment most recently and historically, potential outage impacts on that equipment, all in an effort to really better understand the condition of our equipment, how they perform across the grid so that we can make better decisions around the maintenance and investments we make across our population of distribution assets. And what that results in is really improving our grid performance. You heard Heather talk about some of the core tenets of the grid transformation plan, tackling unplanned equipment outages or the durations of those outages. And we start to build up a much clearer understanding of the condition of all of our assets so that we can avoid failing equipment that causes a loss of power or an environmental impact or a safety hazard. So further, what an EAMS is able to do is automate so much of the maintenance activities associated with our assets. So for now, we run maintenance plans for various types of equipment, and it's a fairly kind of laborious process given the identification of equipment, the creation of work requests and things like that to actually move the activities that need to occur into the field teams who actually complete that work. What EAMS will do is really have the capability to automate a lot of that process. And we're not going to forget about maintenance plans, but there's this very clear automation that EAMS provides where if you can set up maintenance plans in a way to this is when I need it to trigger. These are all of the pieces of equipment that are tied to that maintenance plans. Each year that rolls around or whatever frequency is set, it generates that work order on the pieces of equipment that need to occur so that our teams aren't so focused on necessarily the administration of the front end. They can really focus on the other side of the equation, which gets down into what are we seeing? What's the data telling us? What strategies can we change? So EAMS not only improves this aspect of how we set up our projects to get to the point of collecting data, but it also serves as that platform to bring all of this asset data under one roof and allows us to really kind of steadily improve our understanding of is what we're doing the best strategy and what can we do year over year to kind of get better and better. And the closest thing I can try and relate this to is kind of like the wellness checks that we do here at Dominion Energy for, if you're on a health insurance plan provided by the company, we come in, we take sort of a health assessment, we compare it with our histories and baselines and talk about what changes do we need to make, to improve our overall health. And it's similar to what an asset management system does. It just does it across hundreds of thousands of pieces of equipment versus just one. So that's kind of EAMS in a nutshell.
What's really great about it too is that it's amazing how far we've come in really what seems like a short period of time with this new system. The more information we have, the more we know, the more automation we have, making everything more streamlined for our employees, the better our customer experience is going to be. That's the measure of success, right? Is a good customer experience.
100%. And I think we're getting better and better about the data-driven decisions we're making. And Heather, you and I were part of Strategic Underground, and I feel like that's where we really saw an uptick on leveraging data to focus our efforts, right? Where are we going to get the most bang for our buck? Applying everything that we know and understand and that we do capture from the field so that we can improve not only the experience of our customers, but how our colleagues have to respond to the changing nature of the grid and accounting for everything that does happen.
Very well said on both your parts. And what a great segue into our next question, Heather, which is for you. And it's since the initial customer introduction period, how has Dominion Energy continued to utilize customer education innovation to keep our customers informed?
Okay, so I'm going to throw some numbers at you real quick, so stick with me. Between 2019 and 2021, the company sent well over 1.25 million direct communications. And those are like bill inserts, postcards, things like that. And we garnered close to the same amount of digital impressions, so website clicks, online video, social media engagement, and held 70 events in the community. That could have been community meetings, open houses, even virtual presentations. So that was from 2019 to 2021. And in 2022, during the first part of phase 2 of the GT plan, the company sent over 1.75 million direct communications, garnered just over only 200,000 digital impressions, and held 34 community events. So essentially in phase 2 of the grid transformation plan, the company continued investments in overall customer education as needed to support phase 2 grid transformation projects. But after listening to feedback from customers and stakeholders, the focus really shifted at that point to the individual programs to pinpoint the specific messaging and timing needs for that program. So we ended up sending out many more direct communications during that first part of that second phase. And those were specifically related to the individual programs, such as grid hardening within the overall plan. So for example, what works for our transportation electrification project may not work for our main feeder hardening project. And what works for our targeted corridor improvement project may not be adequate for our customer information platform outreach, and so on. So just to give a few specifics, I'll walk through the communication plan for a few of our current programs. So transportation electrification, that team regularly communicates with customers and stakeholders. They've developed resources like calculators and guides and things that are available on their website anytime. So even though they are in constant communication with their customers, they also kind of rely on their website so that customers can go there anytime and get those resources that they need. And then they have webinars that they hold anytime the team launches a new initiative. Our main feeder hardening program, we send out individual letters to affected customers at the very beginning of each project. And then again, just before construction begins. So there's not that constant communication that's going on, but we are identifying customers that are affected by each individual project and then notifying those customers before things begin to happen so that they're aware of it. That second communication that goes out to the customers before construction begins also includes a map and a link to the website where customers can go and find additional information. Our customer information platform that was recently just launched toward the beginning of this year. We had information out there on dominionenergy.com, but then the team also had targeted social media messages to Virginia and North Carolina customers. Emails were sent to all customers in March and April of this year. Bill inserts were provided in April. There was targeted messaging to any users who use the manage account feature, to landlords, agencies, and our key accounts and things like that. Again, targeted letters and emails for auto pay customers, and then messaging on all the new portals and everything. So 3 very different methods of communication, but as you can see, each program does things a little bit differently. And that's because each program team has figured out the communication plan that works best for their particular customers affected by their individual programs and projects.
I love seeing things where we've migrated from a one size fits all to really understanding what works best. And, Heather, as you're talking about, each group has sort of figured out the secret sauce of how they can best connect with customers and really garner that feedback to make improvements. It's funny that parallel that draws in how we manage assets too, because it's been sort of this one size fits all for our asset programs. We're trying to take that data in to say, well, let's customize these things a bit more to run more effectively and efficiently, spend our money wiser, but also manage those assets in a more meaningful way. So it's funny how, as you're talking, I'm like, man, that makes a lot of sense in all these different areas for our business.
Thank you both. What a great conversation. And I hear 2 underlying themes. I hear innovation and I hear bespoke solutions for each of our programs and initiatives. So thank you both for raising those points. And Adam, this is a great place for you to continue the conversation. Can you talk to me a little bit about how EAMS benefits the greater GTP and our customers?
Absolutely. And I'll focus on kind of 2 parts of this. And one is, the first is very customer focused. And really the intent of EAMS, I mentioned it earlier, but it's just to really help us maintain our equipment to a greater degree so that we can identify and address issues before they become problems, again, not only for our customers, but for our colleagues in having to respond to those problems. So take, for instance, a transformer that we've inspected and have identified it as requiring a replacement or nearing the end of its useful life where failure is imminent. Typically, we'd run a transformer through its entire life cycle. We do that today, meaning we'd wait until it's unoperational, it's failed before actively replacing it. With EAMS, we'll have a greater access and visibility into the most recent results, of that transformer's inspection or the latest work conducted on it, or potentially, and this is kind of future state of having some sort of tie-in from voltage profiles of AMI readings on customers that transformer serves that indicate, hey, this is not going well. I need you to do something with me, which again goes back to that automation of generating some type of activity that allows us to go out and address the needs of that transformer. And as you can imagine, doing that proactively is much, much less impactful for everyone involved, ourselves and our customers, when it's planned, because you've got the resources, you've got the equipment, you can communicate more effectively, to Heather's point, on, hey, we're going to take action on something that will be an impact to you, but we're telling you ahead of time, rather than an outage occurring, at dinner time or at any other time of day when it's not expected. So that's kind of one of the best ways of where EAMS improves, some of the core tenets around the GT plan on reducing outages and their durations. The other side of this, and it's more broadly speaking, is EAMS almost acts like an insurance policy against some of the changes we're making to or adding to the grid. And I'm talking about some of the equipment we're putting on. So again, it provides us that visibility into the condition of these assets. And think about, grid hardening or these intelligent grid devices that we're investing a lot of money in to put across the distribution grid. They'll be monitoring for faults and looking at their own issues of the information that they receive. EAMS is really going to be the tool that helps us monitor that specific piece of equipment and manage that actual device through readings that we're going to get. And it's really compiling all of this data together. That allows us to optimize our operation and management of that specific piece of equipment so that it can do its job. All these things working together really do bring a very real benefit to our customers and the direction we're moving in as a company to supply our customers with the energy they need.
Great insights there, Adam. Thank you very much. The last question is for both of you, and we heard about the overall success of both of these programs. Can you talk to me about what success looks like now and years from now? Heather, can you start? And Adam, I encourage you to continue.
Sure. So if you recall back to all those numbers I threw at you, we had much fewer digital impressions during the first part of phase 2 than we did in all of phase 1. So like 1.25 million versus 200,000. And it's still too early to tell, but that may suggest that customers feel informed and educated on not only the overall grid transformation plan, but also on the individual programs and projects that affect them. So they are not necessarily visiting the website as often to find details. They've gained an understanding of what these of why these investments are crucial for improving service today and in the future as technology continues to change. Not to mention the company's consistent implementation of the customer education approach and plan will continue to improve the customer experience, as we keep saying, and that point we keep hitting on. It's as simple as that. That in and of itself is success. Utilizing this education approach, the company will ensure outreach is efficient and effective in achieving the goals of educating customers, keeping them informed, and empowering them to take advantage of all the different enhanced customer capabilities provided by the GT plan.
EAMS isn't new to Dominion Energy. It's new to the electric distribution business, but for other groups like transmission and substation, they've leveraged very similar systems to do all the things we've talked about. So with that understanding, I think our deployment of EAMS will really try to build upon the successes that we've learned from other areas in the company where we've done similar things. We've had really good meetings across, those operating groups to learn and understand what worked well and what challenges they've faced so that we can build on sort of our collective experience and deploy a solution that really works for the distribution business. That's one part of it, kind of leveraging what we know as a business to be successful. The other aspect of success for EAMS really comes down to leveraging the system to automate and optimize as much as we can around the performance of equipment. And in order to do that, it requires getting our end users familiar and comfortable with a system that's really brand new to our business, or for the electric distribution side. There's going to be new tools in the field to collect data. The way the work is received will be different. So it's all of these changes that need to be trained for and understood that will prompt the full capability of the system. All of this supports feeding the asset management system with rock solid data the system's only going to be as good as the data that it receives. And so in the end, success really looks like us reducing our unplanned outage events due to equipment failures because we're getting good data and we have good insight into the condition of these assets. That takes years of data and analysis to get to. It's going to steadily improve year over year. But this asset management system is truly foundational to gaining those broader capabilities established and moving us in the right direction towards smarter, stronger, and more capable grid for our customers.
I'd like to thank Heather Montville and Adam Flowers for their expertise and participation. Learn more about grid resiliency and the grid transformation plan at dominionenergy.com/grid improvement projects. Thanks for listening and be on the lookout for future episodes. I'm Nadia Ely.